Well, this is a bombshell. Listen closely. We're getting new reporting about what's going on at the Biden campaign as we speak. Doug Cass, a hedge fund owner, a big DNC insider, just posted this. Quote, what I am hearing regarding Joe Biden, Ron Klain, that's the former chief of staff, and Barack Obama are having a sit down with the president today. Joe Biden is insistent that Joe's running. Kamala is furious that she is not being considered as a replacement. Whitmer and Newsom are. Interestingly, my neighbor in East Hampton is hosting the Bidens tomorrow. It will be an important tell if the fundraiser is canceled. Whoa. Okay, let's take this piece by piece. This is the claim of one hedge fund owner. But Tammy, let's start with the first part. Ron Klain and Barack Obama having a sit down. That has the potential to boomerang because Obama encouraged Biden to stay out the first time and cede that ground to Hillary. Reporting says Biden was upset by that. So that could boomerang in Biden's face, or Obama's face, I should say.
Yeah, I think that this also shows you that now we've got leadership coming in, has a mission. And I don't think Cass is going to post something like that without permission. You're not going to go with gossip when you're an insider. So there's a point, in a way, that they're still playing this out publicly with that kind of messaging. Why put Kamala Harris in that position as the angry outsider who's being pushed under the bus? Fascinating decision. So I think that this is a problem in general, that you've, once again, to your earlier point, that this is being perhaps addressed moment by moment, people getting in, people trying to persuade, and that the nation is in that kind of condition right now.
Now, Jason, this is not Fox News' reporting. I just want to point this out. This is one person who could have his own motives. Maybe he wants someone different. But the second piece of what he said is Jill Biden is insistent that Joe is running. That rings as true to me based on this last night. Jason, I know she's a teacher, but that is how I talked to my child. Good job. You answered all the questions.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden likes being president, quite frankly. I think and the problem here is there's not a natural succession plan. The idea that Kamala Harris, I mean, the only person that's less popular than Joe Biden, even after that performance, is Kamala Harris. And the party and the nation, I think, is frightened to actually put her up there. But look at the way she had to lead Joe Biden away from the podium. Look, and Republicans, I think, would do well to just sit back and shut up and don't talk about, just run the Democrats, let the Democrats sort this out, let them talk about it, and just shut up and let them deal with it. They created this problem, so they got to live with it.
They did. And I mean, Doug Cass says Kamala's furious and Newsom and Whitmer are being considered. I mean, whoa, who do you think should be the replacement?
Well, first I want to say that the vice president did a phenomenal job last night. By all accounts, of Democrats who last night were bedwetting about Joe Biden said, and people who are not Kamala Harris fans, she said, she did a wonderful job. She was honest. She was forthright. She talked about policy. I think she's been doing a much better job on the stump, especially with women and communities of color. So I would not sleep on her. And look, I have always said if either party nominated someone else for president, they would win by 10. And so I think the Republican Party, be careful what you wish for. If Joe Biden, for some reason, decides not to run, I think that would spell the end for Donald Trump's campaign. I think even if it's Kamala Harris, I believe that. And what I don't want, my very last point, what I don't want is the problem at the top of the ticket to affect the Senate races and the House races and the governor's races as Democrats have to win across this country to prevent the extremist Republican actions across the country. That's what I don't want.
And I hear what you're saying. I think the Trump camp would probably agree with you that Joe Biden is a weak nominee. But here's the counter to that is when you look at polling, Newsom fares worse than Biden does against Trump. Kamala fares worse. And if you replace them as, maybe that's not true in practice, but some of these folks, Newsom doesn't have the name ID.
If you also insert RFK Jr. into that polling, Democrats do even worse. And, Gavin Newsom, he is not popular in California. They have turned their backs on his leadership because taxes are high, homelessness is high, and he is in denial. So now he's trying to pivot with this national message because he wants to be the replacement. He wants to be this last-minute savior. He is a better communicator than both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, he is communicating a god-awful record. She was not honest last night. She had the worst spin of anyone about his debate performance. Even Anderson Cooper had a very pointed critique of the president, and he went back to her twice, and she was like, well, yeah, slow start, strong finish. It's like, what were you watching?
Yeah, I've never seen Anderson Cooper that hot. That was interesting to watch.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.